Listen, it's been really, really good to see you.
Well, thank you.
We've had loads of calls this morning about you coming on. The show's obviously very, very popular, and we shall be glued to our screens 9 o'clock tonight.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Can't wait. Okay, good stuff. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm retarded?
So I watched Four Lions from, I believe, 2010. It's a British terrorist comedy.
Oh, I've been wanting to see it.
It's a good companion piece for Munich.
To say the least.
But it stars Riz Ahmed, one of his very early roles from Nightcrawler in the great miniseries on HBO, The Night Of.
Oh, and the drumming movie. Yeah.
Sound of Metal, which a lot of people have said is really good. I haven't seen it yet. It's got some really funny moments. I would definitely say that if you don't have any appreciation for British humor, it might be a little rough. It's about a jihadist group trying to commit terrorist acts. That's the plot of the movie. Except they're completely inept. I had fun with it. What I liked is that it's trying to humanize people, even though it is poking fun at the jihadist group. I believe Riz Ahmed is Muslim. So I think the heart is in the right place of the movie, and you're seeing a lot of family dynamics. What I'm really a sucker for, if you're a fan of Rudy Land here, is I love unintentional death scenes. This movie has them in spades. That was a lot of fun. The last thing I would say on it is to kind of get a vibe of the humor of this movie. There's a great line. One of the head of the jihadist group is talking.
Islam is cracking up. We've got women talking back. We've got people playing stringed instruments.
So it's that kind of vibe of a movie. If you're into British comedy, if you're into un-PC comedy, I think some people today would probably take issue with some of it. If you're a fan of Riz Ahmed, it's nice to see one of his very first roles.
Is it streaming, or did you get it from the library or something?
It is streaming on, I believe, Amazon Prime and Tubi. So it's readily available.
Another film that ties into the other film I saw, except this one, unlike the last one, at least made me laugh a couple times. The Ref, starring Dennis Leary and everybody's favorite Kevin Spacey. And some woman who I didn't recognize. And I looked it up and I'm like, oh, she's been in stuff. Maybe Annette Bening. Dennis Leary is a criminal. He just robs like $4 million worth of diamonds from this mansion. And then his ride gets scared and drives away because the cops come. He trips an alarm or something. Meanwhile, Kevin Spacey and his wife, possibly Annette Bening, are at like marriage counseling, and they're like the most waspy, despicable. It's not as bad as War of the Roses, but they both hate each other. Dennis Leary commandeers their vehicle. They go to their house to wait for his friend to find another way out. Relative hilarity ensues. It was okay. Dennis Leary, was like the perfect part for Dennis Leary because he was just the answer. He was a foil to them. He was just the prick.
You are such a liar. I don't believe
it. You sat right in the dining room. You lied to me. You looked me right in the eye and you lied to me. Less than 10 feet from where we're sitting right now. I wonder how many other things you've been lying to me about that I don't know about. That I'm about to.
Did you say that you would quit, Carolyn? Did you say that you would quit?
You want to have sex with him?
What?
Was he just doing a stand-up shtick?
Yeah, there are quite a bit of those sort of one-liners. Oh, this is just from your act, isn't it?
According to my records, I requested the same items in the afternoon based on the first night. I want to take
Apparently he's a huge thief of jokes, by the way.
Yeah, I was just going to say he was doing Louis C.K. stand-up in the movie.
It's like, yeah, I did this bit, where I said I was an asshole for parking a handicap spot. Dennis comes up to me after my set, and he's like, yeah, that was great. I'm an asshole. I pissed in somebody's gas tank. I'm an asshole. Doing his own little riff on it. And then he became a multi-millionaire on the back of it. Launched his career, essentially. And
I do like that song.
Louis C.K., I haven't heard it in a while, but Louis C.K. just got canceled because he asked women if he can masturbate in front of them.
Well, there's a little more to it. And now, this is just a free-for-all now.
You know that's probably going to be the strangest thing about this video? We got sidetracked by a sexual assault talk about Louis C.K. from a movie starring Kevin Spacey.
Right. Oh, God. Which is funny because Kevin Spacey's just back in the news again because one of his accusers wanted to stay anonymous and the judge said, no, you can't.
So
yeah.
The ref, I mean, if you can get past, Kevin Spacey, and Dennis Leary, from what I'm now learning, it was funny enough. See, my problem with comedies is if you make me laugh or chuckle a couple times, because comedies are so bad generally, that's all I really need.
All right, it's canceled.
Hey, idiot, I'm looking right at you.
Scared little boys intimidating everyone with their aggressiveness because they're afraid the world will find out how small their penises are.
And this did it for me. All right, number whatever for you.
I was a child. I was in love. It was wrong and you knew it.
Going back to the horror theme of movies I shouldn't have watched, I decided to watch a movie called Anna and the Apocalypse. And it is a zombie comedy musical with teens.
Wow, that checks all the boxes.
Yeah. And I heard good things about it. It's on Hulu. It is basically the worst CW show or the High School Musical, but with zombies, and it sucks.
Yeah. You should really not communicate with whoever told you it was good.
The zombies don't show up till 25 minutes into the movie. It's just super overly sentimental. The songs are lame. There is one good song that I did like. I would recommend it to teens. They would love it. They'll eat it up. It's very much everyone's on their phone. They're talking about social media. It takes place in Britain. So it's also a British movie. It was rough. It was really rough.
Well, if you think that American teen bullshit sucks, watch English teen bullshit. God damn.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for zombie movies. I've seen a lot of shitty ones. You're always rolling the dice with a zombie movie. I was punished severely for it. And to be perfectly honest, it was so bad. I literally had to fast forward through multiple sections of the movie. It was that bad.
Yeah, that's not a good sign when you first watch a movie.
What?
Justin Bieber's a zombie.
Boss man Bob Cormier, take one look.
See, that's just, I brought this up a second ago about comedies. Same thing with horror, including zombies. There's so many shitty ones. If you just do something that's competent, I may not love it, but I'll like it. I'll say, hey, I had a good time watching that because at least they did something right. So no recommendation on British zombie teenagers. Anna and the Apocalypse.
If you're a big horror fan, I don't recommend it. If you love musicals and you love teen stuff and you are a teen, sure, watch it. You'll probably like it. It's made for the young people, for the old Grinch bastards like us.
Well, even just as you say musical, I won't even attempt to watch that. There's a movie about a barber who puts people in pies. It's a musical, so I'm not going to watch it, though.
Yeah. Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
What's another film that you watch?
Talk about Blast from the Past. And no, I'm not talking about Brendan Fraser's role in Monkey Bone.
Oh, shit.
I'm talking about Lost in Space, baby.
Oh, Jesus. I thought you were actually talking about Blast from the Past.
No, I actually did have an inkling. I wrote a joke, and I didn't write everything down, so I forgot, the connective tissue, the sinew, they call it. Anyways, it is a piece of shit. In some places, it looks really good, and its plot's going good, chugging along, and then a weird alien monkey shows up that looks like I made it on fucking 3D. Like, some of the CG looked awesome, and some of it was just quite simply embarrassing. It was a joke.
I'm sure it was probably more matte paintings back then and some CG probably. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Well,
in
it
a
could
long
have been
time.
that, but there was like a space battle scene that it didn't look like as good as if they made it now, obviously, but for, I believe it was 1997 or so. Maybe 99. I can't.
Could have been models. Might have. I don't
It could
know.
have been models, but it looked pretty good. And then these spider fucking crabs show up, and it's like they puked on the screen, man.
So how was Matt LeBlanc?
That's another problem. See, I thought it wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be, but there were some really, really big problems. Matt LeBlanc was the worst pick as an action star. The dialogue was terrible, which made him much worse. Gary Oldman was okay. Everybody else was fine. The younger daughter was kind of annoying, and the son was kind of annoying. I was kind of upset that they dubbed at some point in the plot, they travel to the future, a possible future or something. The whole family's dead except for the son and Gary Oldman, who's been turned into a giant spider crab monster. The actor, the older version of the son, what's his name? He's an English guy. He was, God damn it. I'm gonna have to just look it up because I can't think of anything where, like, he was the main guy. What movie am I talking about?
Lost in Space.
Lost in Space, thank you. Jared Harris, do you know who that is?
Who is it?
Jared Harris.
Who is it? Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with him. He was in the second Sherlock Holmes movie.
Yeah, he was the bad guy. Mahogany, or whatever Moriarty. His name was. I just said Mahogany.
Jesus. You just triggered all of our British audience.
Well, good. They deserve it.
Aluminum. Speak English to me, Tony. I thought this country spawned the fucking language, and so far nobody seems to speak it.
Harris plays the son in the future, and they dub over his voice. He just sounds like some standard California actor, man, and that kind of bothered me.
Still afloat come spring, we will have to retreat to open water and rescue.
I could never see how much you cared. Until now.
The plot, it has big problems, but it really has potential. They definitely spent a lot of money on this movie. Just made some really poor decisions. Heather Graham is in it, looking sexy as ever, and she has nothing to do. Lacey Chabert, the other daughter, has nothing to do. The wife has nothing to do. Basically, the entire movie was about the son, the father, and Gary Oldman. Everybody else really had nothing to do throughout. So, I mean, movie that maybe you saw on DVD in 1999, give it another spin, but if not, I can't recommend it. Have you ever seen it, or when's the last time you saw it?
I saw it in the theater. My mom took me, and I remember liking it when I was younger. It was actually one of the first DVDs I ever got, because when we got a DVD player, you could pick like 5 movies.
Yeah, that was why I watched it. My brother got a DVD player. That was like one of the first movies he had.
Yeah, I had that, and I got rid of it probably like 10 years ago. So I haven't seen it in probably 15 years.
Okay, it's funny you liked it as a kid, because even as a kid, I thought, this kind of sucks. I don't know what's going on. This is boring.
Oh, I didn't understand it at all as a kid.
As an adult, obviously, I understood what was going on, but it just, so many mistakes, so much wasted money. Anyways, what's your next pick? What's your next movie?
The next movie is a movie I'm actually going to recommend for people to watch. Shocking. It's called The First King, and it's an Italian production, and it's about, as the title implies, it's about the very first king of Rome. 2 brothers, Romulus and Remus, were farmers, and they become enslaved with a lot of other people and break free from that enslavement, and they're hunted down. The whole movie is in Latin, which was really cool. Obviously, it's a dead language, but it was cool to see a movie where everyone is speaking Latin. And the actors were really great.
Really go for it. In terms of them actually speaking Latin, you're really putting in time and effort.
Absolutely. The movie is beautifully shot. There's lots of fog. It's very atmospheric. It is brutally fucking violent. Like, if you've ever seen Gangs of New York, the beginning of that movie, where people are just getting their throats slit, ears ripped off, it is fucking brutal. Especially the first hour. I really like the first hour of this movie. Very engaging, very interesting. They make a decision to, after they break free from their captors, to go through these woods, which are like haunted. and they believe that the woods are haunted, and they have this witch with them. Really fascinating, really interesting filmmaking. I'm not familiar with the director or any of the actors, but they did a very good job. After the first hour, it does run out of some steam because we're getting into the relationship of the brothers and what would become the formation of Rome. I really do recommend it, especially to people who love movies like Gladiator, Braveheart, or even Game of Thrones, those types of films. I was impressed by it. So that's The First King. It is streaming on Amazon Prime. I also believe you can see it on Tubi. The First King, it came out, I believe, in 2019. So it's a new film. What's your next movie?
I also watched another 90s movie that greatly disappointed me that I was excited for, much like Colors, even though that was the late 80s. And also this movie may have also been the late 80s. Young Guns. It was a similar case to Lost in Space. You spend a lot of money, but you made some very poor decisions. It's really repetitive. I found Emilio Estevez to be annoying. The only time we weren't on him is when we were with Kiefer Sutherland, and when we were with Kiefer Sutherland, he was just visiting his little Asian love interest, who was hot, I'll admit. I just don't want to see Emilio Estevez's brother.
Murphy's man! Waiting to jump us in Lincoln. Billy, what are you talking about? McCloskey's with us. He's a regulator. He's a spy! He's been with us. We made a pact, right, McCloskey?
We're all upset about John.
Sorry I didn't sniff you out soon, you goddamn traitor.
They killed our friend. It was Terrence Stamp, I believe.
The villain?
No, Terrence Stamp was like the guy who brought them all together, and he gets killed the first 10 minutes. Villain was Jack Palance. I really liked Jack Palance. I thought he was great. I mean, other than Batman, I don't remember him in anything else, but I really liked Jack Palance in those two movies.
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff in the early days, 50s.
Annoying Emilio, just really dumb, not great shootouts. You don't really know where everyone and everything is until that final one in Terry O'Quinn's house. Terry O'Quinn was like in every Western in the late 80s and early 90s. It's pretty remarkable. But anyways, it's a no recommendation on Young Guns. What do you got next?
I mean, I'd just say that I've always been a really big fan of Young Guns. I haven't seen it in a very long time, though. I had him on VHS.
I think you might like it, because, I mean, at least you have nostalgia going for you. I was really annoyed the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, I can separate that. I'm also a massive fan of Westerns. Like I said, I've always really loved that movie, but...
One of the things that I really love from Westerns is good ones, is the authenticity. This one, it felt like the guy who made it or directed or cinematographized it watched a few Westerns like, all right, I got this. It's just kind of a disconnect.
Yeah, it's very much an 80s Western. It's trying to be hip. It's trying to be more of an action movie. The Western was just completely dead in the U.S. at that point. And it was a hit. It was a big hit. The next movie I have to talk about, and I'm going to be going on a rant on this one, unfortunately. I watched Tom Clancy's Without Remorse, starring Michael B. Jordan.
I just want to say this before you start. Everything that I've seen after like Tom Clancy's death that has his name on it, or played even, has not been great.
Yeah, it's basically a prequel to the Rainbow Six franchise. It's based on a book, Without Remorse, which was the first book in the Rainbow series. Michael B. Jordan is the lead, and this isn't a spoiler, but he's a Spec Ops guy.
I thought you were just about to say he's a black guy.
No. He's a Spec Ops guy. They do a mission in Afghanistan or Iraq. It doesn't go well. They're trying to...
exfiltrate?
They're trying to basically rescue someone, and they find out that they're Russian. That wasn't a part of the plan. Ultimately, his wife gets killed, and he's out for revenge at the very beginning of the movie. That's the thrust of the plot. I was really excited to see this movie. The director is Stefano Sollima, who did Sicario, Day of the Soldado.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's very good at filming action. He's a good director. The screenwriter of this movie, one of the screenwriters, is Taylor Sheridan, who wrote the Sicario films. He wrote Hell or High Water. He did Wind River. I really like him as a screenwriter, and I like him as a director. But the co-screenwriter wrote the video game Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. That kind of gives you a very big clue of how the script is. It's completely cliche, completely contrived, horribly miscast. And this is where I want to get into. I don't care what anyone says, man. You cannot convince me that Michael B. Jordan, that he's this action star, that he's a leading man. He has zero charisma.
Give me a name. He was supposed to be dead.
Give me a name.
He has no screen presence to me. I'm not buying it.
Have you ever seen him in any dramatic work?
I'll give him credit for the first season of The Wire.
You ever see Fruitvale Station?
Yes, that's the other movie I would bring up. He's good in Fruitvale Station.
Okay.
Those two things, I'll give him credit.
I remember really liking. I bought it on Blu-ray, but it's still wrapped in cellophane. I haven't wanted to go down that ride again.
Yeah, it's obviously a very sad film. That was Ryan Coogler's first film, well made. Ever since then, Michael B. Jordan has just done just a bunch of crap. I know a lot of people like the Creed movies. I haven't seen them. I'm just not a big fan of him. He does put in the work. Like, he is jacked in this, but I don't care. You look like a bitch to me, even with all your muscles. You don't seem like a Scops guy.
You need me outside waiting for you to get done, bruh? You want me selling dope, bruh?
The other actors in the film are terrible. Jamie Bell is the CIA agent who was on the mission with him in the beginning.
Who is Jamie Bell?
He was in the Fantastic Four reboot with Michael B. Jordan.
He was one of the kids?
He played the Thing.
So he was the best friend in the beginning.
Yeah, he's honestly like, as we've said before, I don't like speaking hyperbole, but he is unwatchably bad in this movie. Like, it is torture to see him in this movie. I don't buy him for a fucking second that he's a CIA agent. Guy Pearce is in the movie. I'm a big fan of Guy Pearce. I love LA Confidential. I really like The Rover. The Proposition's a great film. He's done a lot of good shit. He has just been phoning it in for almost fucking 10 years. He is lifeless in this movie. He's collecting a paycheck. When you see him in the movie, you know where it's going with him. It's just so disappointing. There are a couple set pieces that are practical, that are well filmed. It's really boring. That's the thing that's crazy about it. I really don't recommend it, even if you're an action junkie. Like, I could barely pay attention to it. And it's from one of the most interesting directors working right now, and one of the most interesting screenwriters working right now. I think it's a massive disappointment. It has a shoehorned in after credits scene to set up a sequel, and it's embarrassing. I mean, I went in, I'm like, oh man, I really loved Sicario 2. I thought it was great. And even the previous movie Stefano directed is well made. I'm blanking on the movie.
Pee-wee's Big Holiday?
Yeah, I thought it was really lame. If you got Prime, you probably watched it, but I'd say you can skip it.
My Fire Stick keeps showing me the banner of it. I saw like the first 2 seconds of it, and I'm like, not interested. My next movie is another going back to comedy, coming almost full circle. We're going half circle at this point. I watched Doc Holliday. My pen was covering up the wood part, so I said Holiday instead. I watched Doc Hollywood, starring
oh boy,
that little
Michael J.
shit,
Fox.
Michael J. Fox. He's so short.
Say, you're much taller than they said you were.
I'm sitting on a stool.
The love interest is the lady who was the love interest in Tommy Boy. And I watched Tommy Boy not that long ago, and I thought, oh, they just got her because she's not crazy hot. Because obviously Chris Farley was not crazy hot in any regard. Unless you're into feeders and stuff.
Listen up, you little spazoids! I know where you live and I've seen where you sleep. I swear to everything holy that your mothers will cry when they see what I've done to you.
In the first 10 or 15 minutes, she shows up, comes out of the water completely nude, and my faith was restored in this woman. She was very attractive.
Setting a pattern in the films.
Anyways, it's very much akin to Funny Farm if you've ever seen it. You might laugh once or twice.
Chevy Chase.
Yeah, you might laugh once or twice. It's basically the exact same plot, now that I think about it. Except one guy's trying to be a doctor and one guy's just trying to write something. Sort of similar to The Ref. The plot's really thin. The premise doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know, it's fine enough hour and 40-minute movie. Especially with that sexy-ass woman. You remember the neighbor from Home Alone? The old man?
Yeah, the old guy with the shovel.
The shovel guy, whatever his name was. It's also very similar to that Dan Aykroyd movie with a judge with a penis nose. Anyways, the old man shovel guy plays the judge. Michael J. Fox hits his fence in a wacky accident, so the judge orders him to do community service as a doctor at the hospital. That's all it is.
That's all it is, huh? Yeah, I remember seeing it on VHS way back in the day from the library, and Never really had any desire to rewatch it.
I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. It's not great, though. I mean, don't go in expecting Animal House or something, but just Funny Farm. Basically, if you liked Funny Farm, you'll probably like this, and vice versa. All right, so...
what about Patch Adams?
Never seen Patch Adams, and I won't. Yeah, it just seemed too lame. It was...
You refuse, huh? Your hatred of Robin Williams knows no bounds.
It was unavailable to me as a child. I don't mind Robin Williams, but he has been in some real pieces of shit. Speaking of Steven Spielberg, Hook was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, it's another movie I haven't seen in 20 years.
Again, keep the trend alive. Keep it going. Let's keep this trend alive, and you tell me your next film.
All right. Well, keeping the rant theme going, I have a rant and cautionary tale to the audience. Once again, we're going back to horror films. I decided to watch a movie called Come Play from 2020.
I had some hopes for this one.
Yeah, I didn't watch the trailer, which is the biggest red flag, because I always watch the trailer for movies when watching them. And I decided, hey, you know what? New horror film. I'm in the mood. Got it. It's about a highly autistic child who does not speak. He has a phone with him that basically has like a text-to-speech program. The demon or creature of the movie can only enter through electronic devices. iPads, phones, TVs.
That's the stupidest thing I've heard in a while.
Well, here's the biggest kicker of it. And this is a memo to any filmmakers or anyone if you're interested in writing a book, a horror book, or making a movie, show, anybody.
The more important people you should put this to are film executives.
Film executives. What do you think the name of the monster is? Just immediately.
Mark Wong.
That would be better. The name of the monster of this movie, I shit you not, I am not joking, is Larry.
There's just my demon friend Larry. He won't hurt you.
Yeah, he's with Mo and Curly.
Ma, Larry's oh, I can't go to sleep. Larry won't stop bothering me. He won't stop telling me to light the dog on fire.
There's these little kids who he goes to school with, and one of them gets traumatized because they see Larry, and they stop speaking as well. And then he stops.
It's an autism demon?
He finally starts to speak.
He sucks the non-autism powers of non-autistic kids and gives it to the autistic kid?
Exactly.
Wow.
The little kid, he just goes, "Where's Larry? Where's Larry?" And it's fucking horrible. I know I'm making it sound hilarious. It is truly insufferable.
It does. I'm thinking about firing it up, honestly. Orale, let's fire it up.
It's honestly one of the worst studio horror movies I've seen in the last 10 years.
Did you watch that movie, the chick from the Ari Aster movie, the cult
Florence
movie?
Pugh?
Is that her name?
No.
Yeah, I think that's her name. She was in this movie on Netflix I saw. Did you see that? It's like a haunted house movie.
No, well that's not a
English
studio. That's not a wide release studio movie. Like this is, I think Paramount made this fucking movie or something. This was an absolute piece of shit. All of the child actors are horrible. They suck. The mom is Jillian Jacobs from Community. It's not scary at all.
Is she the blonde one or the black-haired one?
She's the blonde. I don't know anyone with autism, but I'm assuming that this isn't an accurate representation of autism. Please don't watch it. People, please. I jumped on the grenade for everyone else. Don't do it.
You're really making it sound like I should watch this movie, though, to be perfectly frank.
You gotta watch the Autism Larry the Monster movie.
Is it better than Mercury Rising?
Mercury Rising. No.
See, it took you a minute. That's another really, for those who don't know, that's another really obscure 90s movie about autism.
Yeah.
And
Bruce Willis.
Alec Baldwin was the antagonist. The Omega Code.
What's your final film?
Well, the final film is a twofer. We have what a lot of people say started off the Marvel expansion in film. X-Men, the original, and X2, which for some reason was just named officially X-Men 2.
X-Men United, right?
It may have been X2, X-Men United, you're right, I can't remember. I'm not really going to have anything to add to this because everybody who's talked about this movies have really dissected them. The first one, it's a nice little movie, could have used a bigger budget, it would have been better probably. There's something about Rogue where I'm thinking, is she hot? Like, she doesn't have an ugly face or anything, but it's just, I think she is. She's got great tits.
Gotta thank for buck teeth, huh?
Yes. Listen, thin thick guys gotta do what we gotta do, alright? For some reason, she's supposed to be like 15 and her tits are out the entire movie. It was pretty nice. But, yeah.
Yeah, Bryan Singer directed it.
Well, she might have some accessories he's not interested in.
Yeah. It's like Hugh Jackman has his shirt off all the time.
Yeah. It has a lot similar to Lost in Space, where it's essentially Wolverine and Rogue's movie, with little splices of Magneto and Xavier. If it had a bigger budget, I'm betting it would have been a way better movie. It's not that it's bad, it's not that it needed better sets or it needed bigger action set pieces, but it's just some locations, they were sparse. They could have used a few more extras. Some of the sets were, okay, you just built the top of the Empire State Building and it's like a foot off the ground. But it's a nice movie. It works. Now, the second one, in my opinion, the best X-Men movie ever made. It actually has some things to say.
They say you can imitate anybody. Why not stay in disguise all the time? You know? Look like everyone else.
Because we shouldn't have to.
It actually has that budget behind it. Again, the acting is great. Even better is Halle Berry isn't doing her stupid Caribbean accent anymore. The frog guy's not there. That's another thing they could have used in the first one, is better villain. Essentially, it's just Mystique, Magneto, Sabretooth, and some frog guy I am unfamiliar with versus the entirety of the X-Men. Second one's a lot more tense. The raid on the school is done really well. Taking Patrick Stewart out of the movie for a big chunk. I mean, you needed it for the plot, but that probably wouldn't be where I would have taken it. And also, Wolverine should have fucked Mystique as Famke Janssen or as Rebecca Romijn. Or, quite frankly, even her blue body paint. I think I could.
I might add to it.
I could. You're very right, I could. I'd recommend both. What other... See, I'm having a hard time remembering if there were any other good ones. Logan was a good one. One of the ones with...
I thought Logan.
Huh?
I thought Logan was okay. I liked the first half.
Well, I mean, at least in comparison to other X-Men movies.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I liked X-Men Days of Future Past. I thought that was pretty
Is that the other good one that a lot of people say is good? Because I haven't watched it.
Yeah, that's the time travel.
I watched it when it came out on DVD or Blu-ray, and I haven't... Yeah,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, the other one's not very good.
If you didn't like the Batman movie for being cheesy and goofy, the other X-Men movies are fucking awful. How disappointing is it? There can be no trilogy of awesome superhero movies. Spider-Man, this one who I was just talking about, X-Men.
Right.
But anyways, I'd recommend them both, and Future Past.
I haven't seen them in a long time, but I saw X-Men and X2 in the theater. I always really liked Brian Cox as the villain in 2 with the Weapon X program. I always thought X2 was great. I haven't seen it in a long time.
It always bothered me that Brian Cox's evil assistant, I always thought when I was a kid that was supposed to be the love interest for Wolverine, because I don't know if it's in the comics, but at least in the cartoon, there was this Japanese one, Makiko, that he had some kind of a thing with or something, I remember. Happened in one of the future movies, I believe.
For the Wolverine.
Never saw it.
That was the one that was set in Japan.
Yeah. All the ninjas and shit.
Yeah, that was pretty lame in my opinion.
It looked lame. I didn't even give it a chance. Especially after having seen Wolverine. The one with Liev Schreiber.
X-Men Origins?
Yeah, at least that one you could find some humor in, but it is... So many X-Men movies are just giant pieces of shit.
Well, Fox was churning them out, getting that dough.
Until they were bought out by the evil empire. All right, why don't we finish this up with your last movie? What's the last movie you saw you want to talk about?
The last movie is actually going to be a recommendation, and it's
We're batting 2 for like 8.
It's called The Wolf of Snow Hollow. A comedy horror film, has a Coen Brothers vibe to it.
Did it come out in like 2019 or 2020?
Just came out in 2020. It's the last role for Robert Forster, who's on Jackie Brown. He was on Breaking Bad. Did a bunch of exploitation movies. He plays the father of the sheriff who's still at the station. But it has a Fargo vibe to it in terms of that small town Minnesota vibe to it. It's a werewolf movie. The sheriff, he's trying to find out who's responsible for all these killings and if it actually is a werewolf. But, from the get-go, as soon as the movie starts, you're...
I'm guessing because they show you a murder by a werewolf.
I really had fun with it. The lead of the film is also the writer-director. He could potentially really turn off a lot of people. I enjoyed him in the movie, but I did say to myself, I wish he set aside his ego and cast someone else. His name is Jim Cummings. There is some sappiness to them because he's an alcoholic. He's going through...
the character or the director?
He's going to rehab, and he's the character in the movie. The character is a recovering alcoholic. He's divorced. His daughter's about to be going to college. She's got a scholarship. And so there is some kind of schmaltzy relationship stuff with them. I really had fun with it. I thought it's pretty clever. It's also 80 minutes long without the credits, so it really moves. It has that quirky vibe to it, like a Coen Brothers. It's one I definitely recommend if you love horror, if you love horror comedies. Know going in that because of that type of humor, it might turn off some people. Check the trailer out. It was a real pleasant surprise for me. The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it. I think I saw like a 2-minute video review about it or something. Seemed interesting.
Definitely worth checking out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any recommendations for us, or if you want to recommend like a full-length 4-hour-long video about Britney Spears' Crossroads, leave it in the comments. And that'll do her.
I love you. I'm proud of what you're doing. I know you're working hard for your state, but no matter how hard you're working, there's always time to call Mom.
Come on, you son of a bitch.